mic down here because my hair is so long. It's gonna get on it and rub against it and stuff, you know? That's what happens when you have long hair. Okay, am I good? Am I secure? I feel like it. Precisely. Hello. Hi. Hello. Girl, boy, sir, ma'am. How are you? My name is Zakiya Davidia. If you've never seen me before, which you probably haven't, I'm pretty low key. But if you have not seen me before, here I am. This is my face. This is how I move through the world. I am a makeup artist who believes in skincare. Maybe I should have been an esthetician, I don't know, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to discuss. I'm just giving backstory for context. Hopefully y'all saw the disclaimer. I'm giving the story for context. There is a beautiful YouTuber that I follow and love to watch, Aaliyah's Face. Hi Aaliyah girl, hey. I'm probably gonna send you this link maybe. Hopefully you watch it. If you do, maybe it opens up a sort of dialogue, a greater dialogue that we can have as people. I absolutely love her videos. I love watching her videos. Aaliyah features many of her friends on the channel, and she featured a certain friend who was featured on another sort of channel, Iloho. If you don't know about Iloho, fantastic commentary. She explores a lot of topics, very digestible. She kind of talks about different things that are happening in pop culture and media. And Iloho created a video about one of Aaliyah's friends that she features. And when I saw that video and saw Aaliyah's friend in it, I decided to copy the link and send it to Aaliyah. Commented on one of her recent videos at that time. You know, it's hard to capture everything you want to say in such a short amount of time. I don't know if she saw the comment or not. I sent the video to Aaliyah because that's, at the end of the day, that's her friend, and the ideologies that her friend, whose name I don't know, I'm so sorry honey, it's not even me trying to be rude or offensive or anything. The ideologies that her friend expressed, which we'll get into in a minute, kind of startled me based on what I see, and maybe we can go as far as to say based on the things that Aaliyah presents. I think that Aaliyah has, or I hope really that Aaliyah has a different mindset than her friend, and is able to, from a place of camaraderie, speak to her friend about whatever issues are kind of going on. But then I did a little bit more thought about it, and I realized that, now this is for context, this is not to be rude, Aaliyah's friend as well as Aaliyah are both mixed race women. Specifically, I know for Aaliyah, your beautiful mother is Caucasian and your beautiful father is African American Black. Your friend, I don't know, but you know, this brings me to the point of talking a little bit about what the friend said in the video. And I am by far paraphrasing, and I'm not gonna link the video that Iloho created because I am not necessarily trying to respond to that video that she created. I'm trying to instead branch off and create a different sort of dialogue about Aaliyah's friend. Maybe her name, let me not even say, like, her name might be something because I frankly don't know. But the young lady in the video, Iloho, if you want to see Iloho's video, type in Iloho biracial girl, because, you know, there's a whole other layer to that, but she did, the title of the video is Biracial Girl Says something. And so if you want to watch that video for context, so you know what I'm talking about, fine. If not, that's okay. Now, this is what I think really needs to be discussed. And this is a topic that I talk about with, it's usually more comfortable in terms of the other person receiving the information that I'm saying, for me to talk to non-Black people. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. But it can be a little bit more comfortable for them because as Black people, we are the very few who internalize race and make race a part of who we are, what we do, how we move through the world, how we talk, how we walk, all of that kind of thing. Let me just create a disclaimer right now and say that I am not a person who does not believe in interracial relationships. I'm not a person who does not support interracial relationships. I am a person who supports love. I am a person who supports, a genuine caring about who a person is. And if your love has the ability and capacity to transcend race, I think that that is beautiful, and I respect that. Because of where I am from, who raised me, how I grew up, I have my own personal beliefs about dating outside of my race. I have my own personal experiences, very, very few, but I do have my own personal experiences, but I don't want to bring that in as a factor because I don't think it is in this context. Saying all of that, Aaliyah's friend, which I'm sorry, but the girl that Eloho spoke about in the video, she essentially was making comments about hair. And I'm paraphrasing once again, but she made a comment about hair along the lines of, I am biracial and therefore my hair texture is better than that of a Black person, which is that is something that can be interpreted and picked up from the video, depending on who you are. And I think that that is what a lot of people picked up from that video. What I paid attention to from what this young lady said was that belief that she is expressing in herself and her hair, and if that is better or easier or whatever compared to that of a Black person, those opinions and ideologies came from her mother. Which brings me to an even greater point, which is talking about instances where in interracial relationships, they are born out of a genuine love for the other person. And there are other instances, which I don't want to assume, but I think is what happened in terms of this young lady and her parents, where you have specifically a Black person stepping outside of the race and wanting to create children and offspring that do not necessarily reflect them in a mirroring sense, but only hold certain nitpicked qualities that are deemed acceptable according to white American standards. Now, the issue is, for me, the mother is expressing to the daughter, this young lady, and the mother is a Black woman, I'm guessing she's a traditional African American woman, that she doesn't like her hair, it's hard to manage, and the daughter is so privileged and blessed to be of mixed race and to not be Black, so that she does not have to deal with the difficulties of having a traditionally Black, kinky, coily hair texture. And for me, and I've had an issue with a past partner in terms of what it means for you as a Black person to date and procreate with someone who does not look like you, and the kind of ideologies that you express to your mixed race child can in fact be very harmful. And I don't necessarily think that the problem, using that term very loosely, I don't necessarily think that the problem or the issue is the girl as much as it is the mother, and maybe even the relationship that the girl has with her mother. Now, for me, this is me personally, and this is what I picked up from what the young lady said in her video. I think it was like a vlog video or something of the sort. This is the train of thought that I'm following. You are a biracial child, and you have a Black parent who dislikes themselves, who thinks that they are ugly and that their features are ugly, and that you are the godsend, you are the better half, you are the improvement, of who they are and what they are. That mindset in itself is highly unhealthy. And that's where the real problem for me is. You, and I'm speaking to the young lady, for you to, and I'm pretty sure she, can say, oh, well, I've tried to talk to my mom and sort of encourage her and all of these things. But at the end of the day, at this point, I'm guessing that you are over the age of 21. You hear your mother, who is a Black woman, spitting out this sort of self-loathing, self-hating speech to you. And you say, yes, mom, you are right. You are ugly. Your hair is bad. You are right. I should be glad that I don't look like you. I think that that is unhealthy. I think that that's inappropriate. And I think that if I was a mother to a biracial child and my child agreed with the American idea of me being ugly in this country, I would have a problem with that. That brings us to, granted, I don't know where that young lady is from, but I do know that Aaliyah lives in the South. They are friends, so I assume that this young lady lives in the South. Now, my dad is from the South, and he never wanted me to go for obvious reasons. But I think that being a Black person in the South, there are certain things that are okay that we don't do in the North, baby. We don't talk like that. Are you kidding me? Now, granted, for context, I'm from Baltimore. If you don't know, the DMV is very Black. And I mean neat, like very Black, very chocolatey. DC has been coined numerous times as Chocolate City. For me to come from an environment like that, and hearing things like that, when I hear those things and I hear people say those things and talk like that, I hear racism, whether that's internalized or something external that you kind of live in and deal with. And I think that young lady, without even realizing it, is pointing or shedding a light on an even greater issue, which is when Black people who hate themselves have these mixed race children and say all of these types of things to their mixed race child, and that child goes out into the world and begins to interact and socialize with other people who maybe don't look like them, and they feel comfortable enough to say things like that because things like that are said in their house. For me, that creates a bit of an impasse, because at the end of the day, as a person of mixed race and mixed heritage, or maybe I shouldn't really say heritage per se, but person of mixed race, I feel like, and this is me, you play a different type of role, excuse me, where you have the option to pick who you are. And you have the option to sort of choose how you present yourself to the world. And depending on how light your skin is or fair your skin is, you can say, I'm a white person, or you can, depending on how curly your hair is or dark you are, you can say that I'm a Black person, depending on how you act, dress, who you talk to, who you hang out with, associate with, things of that nature. You, a mixed race person has a little bit more leeway. And within that leeway, I believe a sort of, if that person is taught correctly, a bridge or a bond between races can be created. Even though I do consider people of mixed race a completely different and separate race within themselves. I do. You know, it because that, like I said, depends on how you look. And then you bring in who raised you, who's your family. Going back to the point that the mom, not necessarily the point, but the things that the mom said about herself to her daughter, and having the daughter, the young lady, speak about that. Funny enough, in this day and age, with all of this technology and access to information, agrees with her mother, and I presume doesn't really help your mother with her confidence, with her belief in self, with her idea of what is beautiful and how she fits into that. I will say that I've never had a perm. I've never worn a weave or a sew-in. The most I've done is maybe braids, and then for a very, 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 very short period of time, when I was about 18, I was in the marching band in college, and I had to wear wigs, which was a very strange experience for me personally, but I have always had natural hair. I have straightened my hair a handful of times, but usually my hair has been natural in its natural state. And growing up, my mom could always do my hair. It was never a problem. It was never an issue. I watched her use, moisturizing products and oils and things like that to maintain my hair and maintain the health of my hair. And as I got older, I applied that same knowledge to the practices that I use on my hair even today. And I also did a ton of research back when I was in about maybe high school. Did a ton of research on black hair and the lock method and all of those things. We live in an age of technology where everyone has access to the same amount of information. Whether or not you choose to pay attention to that and, teach yourself, relearn, reparent, etc. is a personal thing. I say all that to say that for me, I understand where Iloho's frustration comes from, because when you see someone like that who is an adult person, which we need to take heed in, she is an adult person who has access to information, lives in America, sees the way that Black people are treated, sees the way that Black people are forced to, live within themselves in terms of how you see yourself and so on and so forth. For her as an adult person at this point in her life to say things like that about, hair and stuff like that, those are comments that I heard as a young girl, very much. I'm 24 now, comments, and I'm still pretty young, of course, but when I say a young girl, I mean like a teenager, preteen, tween kind of thing. And oftentimes comments like that are made towards Black people out of hate and out of spite and out of anger. Do I necessarily believe that that was the intention of the young lady? No, I don't. At the end of the day, I think the issue is having someone like that in a theoretical position of power as an influencer, talking to young girls and having young women of all shapes, sizes, and colors and ages listen to you and respect your opinion and want to emulate and maybe follow your lifestyle, so to speak. Words like that and language like that can feel very, very ostracizing, coming from someone who is not traditionally Black in phenotype being appearance, as well as other things. Hearing and seeing someone who is not traditionally Black in terms of phenotype say things like that, it can be deemed as hurtful, harmful, abusive language. For me, I think that this situation is indicative of a greater issue within America, which is, when you as a Black person who is in a state of self-loathing and self-hatred have a child of mixed race and you teach them these sort of self-hating ideologies, they take that and they go out into the world and they share those ideologies. Y'all need to respect these YouTubing folks because these lights hot as hell. When you express these sort of self-hating ideologies to your child who is of mixed race, they apparently take those things and apply them to all Black people. And I think that the young lady made the grave mistake of applying her mother's ideologies and beliefs to all Black people and to all Black women, and said to herself, well, if my mom feels this way, and maybe, I don't know, maybe my aunt feels this way, I have a cousin who feels this way. Growing up in the South, a lot of Black women in the South feel that way. That does not mean, unfortunately, that every Black woman has that kind of perception of herself that says, my hair is less than because it's not curly. That in itself touches on the idea of reparenting, having to reparent yourself. You know, there are things that my mother taught me as a Jamaican woman in America, being an educator, dealing with African-American children, you know, for years and years and years. I'm not gonna talk about it, but there are certain ideologies and beliefs that my mother taught me and said to me concerning African-American children, African-American people, which is a whole other thing in itself, that were not necessarily positive. And, you know, as I grew up and grew older and went to college and met different people, I understood that those ideologies and beliefs are not conducive to everyone, and I can't apply that to everyone. I had to sort of reparent myself in a way. I think that maybe that is what really needs to happen. That young lady, I'm so sorry that I don't know or remember your name, needs to have a moment of reparenting. And I was having this conversation with someone that I met last night, an older mixed race, Mexican, white American doctor. Started talking about, of course, you know what, and it led on to this conversation about race and race theory and such. The notion of, you know, creating healthy, functioning members of society, as opposed to creating these, maybe we can say, unintentional warriors who can be considered part of the Black race maybe, yet use language and verbiage and practice and follow certain beliefs and systems that in fact oppress Black people, and in theory oppresses yourself, which is probably difficult for you to realize that you are in fact oppressing yourself, because the same way that you can say that your hair is better than a Black person's because it is curly, a white person can say that their hair is better than yours because it is straight. And the idea is more so to level the playing field. But based on the tone in which the young lady used in her video, the tone that she used when she said what she said implies that the thought of having better hair than a traditional Black person is something that brings you joy. It's something that brings a smile to your face. It's something that makes you feel good. It's something that boosts your confidence. It's something that makes you happy. If I'm incorrect, please let me know. But based on your tone and the facial expressions and the body language that you use, it implies that what I'm saying is true. That's a problem. That's not good. That's not good. Whoa. For me, it is about creating and establishing that level playing field. And to that young lady who the video was centered around, part of me wants to say that I am so sorry that you grew up in a household and in a home where you saw someone that you love dislike themselves and dispel certain parts of themselves and take that sort of seed and put that in you to make you feel and believe that that is okay, and that, well, if someone has a problem with it, then that's just them. No, absolutely not. I said in the comment that I made on Aaliyah's video, I have never once in my life, desired to look like and be anything else than what I am. I never had an issue with my appearance, how I looked. I never had an issue with my hair. I did not grow up in an environment where I had adults, especially my parents, tell me that they don't like being Black, that they don't like the Black experience, that they don't like having, you know, Black people features and Black people hair. I've never experienced that personally in my life. My dad comes from a long line of Southern Black people who, my grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman. I had an aunt or a great aunt who was a Black Panther. My mom is not American. And so, you know, in Jamaica, everybody's Black. And you have that sort of mixture of Asians that are in Jamaica. Yes, there are Asians in Jamaica, and as well as Middle Easterns, call them brown people, in Jamaica. But even then, when I go home and I'm home in theory, right? When I go back to Jamaica and I would visit my family members and talk to my male family members about how they feel about white women, black women, all that kind of thing. I have family members who, especially men, uncles, that say to me, I don't want to be with anyone else besides a black woman, because who better to understand my experience and what I go through and what I live through as a black man? Who can love me better in that type of situation? I grew up seeing black people marry each other. Whole other thing right there. Hopefully the points that I am trying to make come across. Hopefully, editing Zakiya will chop this up proper. Get to the meat and potatoes of what it is that I'm trying to say. I would like to say personally to the young lady that, I would like for you to take a little bit of initiative as a daughter, and I would really appreciate it if you sat down with your mother and you spoke to your mother, and I don't know if your father's in your life, but if he is in your life and your parents are still together, even if they're not, speak to your mother, talk to your mother, encourage your mother, love your mother, because that mess, you don't love your mama. That's what I got from that. I did not pick up, you hate black people. No. I got the fact that you don't like your mama. And I could be absolutely wrong. And I hope I am. I hope I am. And for you to apply that very white American hierarchical mentality about hair, you're applying that logic to your mother. Why? How? How does that click in your brain and seem right and seem okay? Where does that come from? If anything, I don't feel like you need to be attacked. I feel like you might need to go to a family therapy session. And that's not to be rude or read you, that's being serious. Because that's not right. That's not healthy. That's not a healthy family environment, which, I'm part 2 of this video. I'm moving into part 2 of this video right now. So look, editing Zakiya, get down on it, girl.